This podcast is sponsored by DRC Group Limited. DRC Group Limited is an official waste management company based in Cardiff. If you have any waste that needs to go and can't find the appropriate business to do it, look no further than the DRC Group boys. They will provide you with the best service and positive attitude when it comes to solving your waste issues, and these guys are available throughout the week. If you want to get in contact with them, you can look them up on all their social media platforms on Twitter, Facebook, or even Instagram, or even phone them on their number at 07837 256 124. Again, if you want to contact them on all their social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, or social media, or even their phone number is 07837 256 124. If you're looking for the best quality service and the right people to get rid of your waste, then again, DRC Group Limited is the business for you. So, Carl Fletcher, former Bournemouth, West Ham, Wales. I mean, he captained for Wales as well. I mean, he captained for quite a number of teams. And one of the teams that I have a soft spot for, I don't know why, it's Plymouth. And I don't know why Plymouth has... I don't know why. I remember going to watch a Cardiff City match ages ago. And obviously it was against Plymouth at around about the time they were in the Championship. But for some reason, ever since then, I've always looked up results, where they are in the league and everything. And I'm always buzzing if they won or if they get into a playoffs and everything. I don't know why Plymouth had that effect on me. It's just one of those random clubs that's just done that. But for you took over as sort of like a player, then a manager. And I don't know if it was a player manager role, but I think it was around about the time where, Peter Ridsdale? Peter Ridsdale was then the chairman. And I think you took over Peter Reid's role as well sometime after. So before we get into that part, what was it like going into, towards the end of your career, going into Plymouth Argyle and just playing for that club?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I'd been down there, I think in total, it was about 4, maybe 5 years. So it'd been a long time and a lovely part of the world to live. Do you know what I mean? I had my kids were really young when we was down there. So they grew up for a period of their lives down there, and we have really fond memories, made some good friends and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Great club, great support. It was just unfortunate at the time that I was there. It was just going through some real tough financial issues. I think we was in the Championship at the time, and then it kind of came out that around the time when England were trying to get the World Cup, and I think Plymouth were due to be one of the teams that would have been hosted the games. So they were kind of banking on that a lot. And then obviously England didn't get the World Cup. And then it come about that the club had huge debts. And it was just, it just kind of snowballed from there. Do you know what I mean? Going into administration, not getting paid for 10, 11 months. And just, it was just a real tough period towards the end, which was a real shame because, like I said, we've got a great fan base. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? A great city, a lot of history, great place to live. And it was just the club was going through a real tough time at the, and they weren't the only club at the time. Do you know what I mean? You see it often. There's lots of clubs around the country that get into financial difficulty. But it's really tough. It's really tough, and obviously fell through the leagues. And it just ended up with me becoming player manager. I think it was, it was tough for Peter Reid. He kind of come into the job, I think, on false pretenses, and maybe wasn't made fully aware of the actual financial implications. But it was a real tough period, I think, where Plymouth have got a decent history, and then I think towards the end we were like down in League Two, and it's everything starts to affect not just the football and the football club, but it's the people in the city, and it's people going to work every day, and businesses. If the club gets relegated out of the league, then it's that's affecting their businesses and shops and hotels and things like that. So it was a stressful time, to say the least, but fond memories, definitely.
When Peter Ridsdale came to the club, obviously, I don't know what sort of capacity he was there for, but obviously he was not the most. Of course, he's a controversial figure in football, and I just wanted to know, what was your opinion, or what was your views of the man? You know, did you have a good working relationship with him, or was there? What was it? Just described your time with Peter Ridsdale, if you had a couple of hours with him.
Yeah. I mean, he was. I think his reputation precedes him almost at times, but we always got on really well. Do you know what I mean? He kind of come in when the club went into an administration. I don't know whether he come in with the administrators or he come on the back of it for a different role. But yeah, he was very influential in helping, get through a real sticky period. I think obviously he has, lots of contacts and his experience with finances within football and stuff. And for what everyone says about him, he is a good guy and he does know what he's doing. And he's very passionate, and he was very passionate when he come to Plymouth. I think I'm right in saying there was no real kind of link there for him at all to, for Plymouth as a club or anything like that. And he tried his best to keep the club afloat. Thankfully in the end we got James Brent, who came in and kind of bought the club and took away the debts and bits and bobs and things, and made it a little bit more sure footing for the club to kind of continue. But yeah, everything we had with Peter was great. Do you know what I mean? He was definitely a character. Do you know what I mean? But he got things done, and we'd gone through so many years from people kind of passing the buck a little bit and sweeping things under the carpet, where Peter kind of come in and just fronted it up, said what he wanted to say, didn't really care who upset, but got things done, which was great.
I think as a businessman, you can't have that worrying feeling of, who am I going to upset? As a businessman, you just got to think, right, this is the right way forward, and if you don't like it, leave. It sometimes with that mentality, and I think sometimes I do feel bad because I hence being from Barry, I'm not far away from Cardiff, so obviously I'm going to hear a lot of things about Peter Ridsdale, and I got a couple of mates who are Leeds United fans, so I've heard a few things from them, and obviously you see a lot of people not having the best of comments or best of opinions about the man, but at the same time it's always a bit, you got to try and look at it from their perspective, but you can't, because sometimes you got to be on their level to look at it from their perspective and everything. So it is that tricky scenario, I always think anyway, of seeing it. But do you know when you left Plymouth, you went to Barnet?
Yeah.
It was around about the time Edgar David was there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
What the hell is Edgar David doing in Barnet?
Yeah. It was a strange one because Barnet's not too, like, we made a decision to move back to London after Plymouth, after I got sat there. So Barnet wasn't too far. And now I had a bit of time out, I think, after the Plymouth thing, because the 4 years in the administration and then the managing and just everything, it was needed a bit of a breather. And then I wanted, because I think I was still only 32, 33, I think maybe. So Barnet was close. Do you know what I mean? So I'd said I'd go in there, and Edgar Davies was manager, and it was interesting to say the least. But obviously, again, reputation precedes him. He's won European Cups and won leagues all around Europe. One of the best players of his time. Played for some huge clubs, and then went into Barnet, and he was manager, player manager, captain, wore the number 1 shirt, took all free kicks and corners. And it was just a bit of a strange setup, but not to say that it was terrible. Do you know what I mean? Because he wanted, Barnet to play the right way. He was very passionate about doing certain bits and wanted things to be done right, and was trying to stretch the players to be better than what they currently were, and try and make them better. He had a couple of good coaches with him as well from Holland, but it was a little bit up and down, because he would play, and then if he got sent off, you wouldn't see him for about 3 weeks, and while he was suspended and stuff. So it was a little bit loose, but he was a good guy. Do you know what I mean? He was a good guy. His heart was in the right place, and he wanted to succeed.
What was he like as a manager then? When he was in the dressing rooms and everything, what was his pep talks like? What was he like just to listen to him, and what he had to say before the game?
Yeah, obviously he has instant respect for everything he's done in the game, and he was very much, he wanted, Barnet to play football, and was very keen at if we didn't do that, and wanted it to try and do it well. So, and like I said, with he had, two Dutch coaches with him as well. So obviously kind of taking a Dutch philosophy, trying to get it into Barnet and instill it. And to be fair, we had some good players at the time. Do you know what I mean? Especially for that level. And the team played some really good football. I think it was the tougher away days that we struggled on sometimes with the not so good pitches and things, and trying to play out caused us a few problems. But he was just honest. He just wanted us to enjoy the game, play football, and play well and win the game. You know, he's very passionate. You don't get to achieve what he achieved in the game by doing things by half. You know, he was a winner and he wanted to win, and whether that be in training or in games, he was very passionate about that. So yeah, it was different. It was definitely different, but not to say that it was wrong.
Going back now to the very beginning of your career with Bournemouth, you know, in the first team. The two questions I got on here is, like, how did you began your career in football, and also what was your time like at Bournemouth? Because you made nearly 200 league appearances, that is, for Bournemouth, and you won the 2003 playoffs with them, 5-2 against Lincoln, 2 goals, and captain. There you go. Say no more. But
yeah, that's it. Yeah, so I grew up in like Bournemouth or in Poole, just by Bournemouth. I think I first went in when I was about 11. I think to the centre of excellence, as it was back in the day, and then kind of come through the age groups, which was great. Went to the games when I was younger with my dad. Do you know what I mean? So supported him really as a boy. And then just kind of went from there, went as a youth team, went as a scholar, and then lucky to get my pro and stuff like that. And since it was all I knew, really, I was lucky that I had some good coaches coming through the academy to get me where I needed to be. But yeah, that was it. You know, it was at a time where, you know, you're leaving school at 16, you're going in to be a youth team player. It was like, you didn't really think too much about it. You just done it, you just carried on. You weren't thinking too much about a career. It was still a case of, well, I like playing football, so I might as well go and do it. So yeah, I was very lucky, come through, and then lucky enough to captain the side, and we had some ups and downs over the years. Do you know what I mean? Obviously getting relegated, then getting promoted through the playoffs, which was a great day. Do you know what I mean? Like the best way, if you get the chance to get promoted, doing it through the playoffs at the Millennium, with the roof closed and scoring a couple of goals was unbelievable. So yeah, it's always a close place to my heart, really, because obviously I grew up there. My mum and dad still live down there and stuff. So yeah, I was very, very honoured to play for him. I think we was really lucky over the years. We had some real good loan players coming that we see. I think in my time there, I was young, we had like Rio Ferdinand and Jermaine Defoe, to name but a couple. We had lots of good younger players from Premier League clubs that were able to come down, because we seem to have a good kind of history for letting them play and letting them kind of develop. So yeah, really lucky to be a part of it. Very good family club, and been managed to keep that family feel and that community feel, even though club's gone obviously up into the Premier League, and obviously things change with that, with money, obviously more money, more things change. But yeah, love it. Very close to my heart, and I'm very honoured that I was able to play for him.
when Jermaine Defoe came to the club, now that you mentioned him, I believe this is around the early stages of his career anyway. So it's just, he's just trying to get his boots on and, you know, trying to get as much games as possible. Did you yourself see that potential where he was going to go in the future, or was that not the case? Did you see, oh, we've got a player, he's good, he's going to benefit us, and then hopefully you'll do justice for him in the future? What was your thoughts on him?
Well, it's funny really, because we had a young squad at the start of the season, so he didn't come in straight away. So we'd kind of gone through a little bit of a rebuild, and where there wasn't loads of money at the club, there was loads of young players playing, which was great. Do you know what I mean? So we started the season. We were playing okay, but we weren't getting many wins. Do you know what I mean? So it was under a little bit of pressure. I think it must have been probably about 4 or 5 games in, something like that, 6 games in anyway. So our next game is Stoke away. So we're playing Stoke away. And geez, like, we're playing okay, but we're coming Stoke away, that were, you know, big club in League One at the time. Walked in the changing room, and there's this 5'2" maybe at best, but no, 5'6" kid basically sat in the corner of the changing room. And then the manager's gone, "Oh guys, this is Jermaine, we've got him on loan from West Ham. And we're all there sat there thinking, gee, like, really? Is this guy going to help us get out? Like, we've just lost like probably 5 games on the spin. Is he really going to help us? Is he going to score a goal for us at League One? Can't see it. Anyway, played the game. After 45 minutes, I think he scored with a header, hit the bar back twice, hit the post twice, and just ran Stoke ragged. And we was like, this geezer's amazing. He's like, it's unbelievable. And he was just so sharp, and he was so wanted to score goals. He was brilliant. It was brilliant. And then from then on, he just kind of took off, scored loads of goals. I think he'd done a period where he got 10 in a row, which was great. Do you know what I mean? He just added a kind of a final little piece to the puzzle almost, where we had all these young players, all roughly the same age, about, I think we was all around between like 21 and 23. You know what I mean? We'd all hang out socially, all had good groups together, and he was just that final bit of the puzzle where we had someone to kind of score the goals, and it did. And you could always see then, after that first 45 minutes at Stoke, you could see that he was a top level player, definitely.
Sometime, well, just after the playoffs, then beating Lincoln, scoring the goals, being captain and everything, West Ham United came knocking for you. That must have been a bit of a shock, because obviously being in the Premier League and everything, it was a bit of a surprise, and especially West Ham. What was your thoughts when you went to West Ham United and when you found out that West Ham United wanted to sign you?
Yeah,
it's Premier League at the time. Sorry, I think they weren't in the Premier League at the time. I think they got...
No, they was in the Championship. Yeah, they was in the Championship, and I think they just missed out on. They'd lost to Crystal Palace the year before in the playoffs. I think, to go back into the Premier League. So, yeah, they just come in. I think Bournemouth at the time, again, didn't have the finances, so any kind of offer for the players, like they were going to accept it. They weren't in a case to kind of stop it. So it was flattering, really good. And I think where I'd been in Bournemouth pretty much my whole life, it's you get very sheltered. You kind of get in a little bit of a bubble kind of thing. So once the offer come in and we got things sorted, then I decided to go. It was kind of like a make or break. It'd been pretty comfortable for me to say no kind of thing, but I always wanted to progress. Do you know what I mean? And at the time, Bournemouth in League One, and it wasn't like we had loads of money and suddenly we're going to say, look, we're going to go for promotion. So yeah, I wanted to go. Big club, massive club. I think I actually decided, which would never happen today, I actually decided that I was going to go on the morning of like a bank holiday Monday game. So I'd actually agreed to sign. All the clubs had agreed. I was ready to go, and I actually played the game for Bournemouth that bank holiday Monday. So, which was, it was a rubbish game, but it was kind of my last game. It was away at Leyton, I remember, and it was, you'd never let it happen today, because clubs have agreed fees and everyone's agreed you wouldn't do it in case an injury or something happened within the game. But I played, and I remember, and it was in the change room after, and it was our manager at the time, John Toshack, obviously knew that I was going, and obviously asked me if I could tell the rest of the lads, and he told the rest of the lads, and it got quite emotional really, because it was 13, 14 years I'd been there, kind of thing. So yeah, it was a big part of my life, and all I'd known in terms of football wise. So yeah, really excited to go to West Ham, completely out my comfort zone, going from Bournemouth to London, East London. At that, it was a real culture shock for me. But the best thing I'd done for not only for football, but just for my life, just to be, live in a different part of the world, understand, how different areas of the world are, different people, different issues, different good bits. I think it was great. And I think I didn't really realise how big West Ham was until I kind of got there. And then you realise, and I think first pre-season tour, we went away to Sweden, middle of nowhere, some random pitch in amongst like mountains or something, and there's like 5,000 West Ham fans there. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like, it was a great time, like being there. We had a good group. Obviously, Ginge and Gabs were there as well, which was great. And we had some really good players, and we had a couple of successful seasons. So, yeah, it's really enjoyable. Really enjoyed my time. It's one of the best decisions I made.
A couple of things I want to mention during your time at West Ham. You eventually got promotion to Premier League. But one of the games I really want to mention is, I I will mention the cup final in a bit, but this one game, 2-1 Spurs. Spurs players had food poisoning. I wanted to know what's your take on that? What did you know at that time?
I mean, not loads really. We kind of, I think, maybe recall it was a Sunday, maybe I think, but yeah, we just went out as normal, and then there was a kind of you hear that Spurs aren't here yet, like the team bus hasn't arrived, which to be honest wasn't that uncommon, because when you get teams travelling, especially the teams more in the north, they travel into London because they'll be looking at maps and they'll go, oh, it's only 5 miles to the stadium. That will only take us 10 minutes, but obviously London traffic and things like that. So that we'd had it a few times where the teams end up getting late just because they're stuck in traffic and things like that. So so that wasn't a big thing. And then it kept going and going, and we were warming up and they weren't there still. And then we had to go back in because the kickoff was delayed. And then it come in and said, what did they say? They said that their team had got food poisoning. And I think there was a shout of that it might be called off. They were talking about it might be called off, which I could never see that really happening, to be honest. But yeah, game was delayed. Started it a bit later, and then we just kind of, I think they were going for Champions League at the time as well. And then we just put in a real good performance, as we generally do against Spurs. And obviously with the home crowd at the Bowling or Upton Park, always gets behind us when things are going well. And it was just a snowball. And I think some people might say there was off the thingy, but it didn't feel it at the time when we was out there playing. There wasn't anything noticeable that they couldn't run around or they couldn't do this or that kind of thing. So we was very comfortable within the game, and a real good day, real good atmosphere, real good day. So it's a bit awkward for me because my in-laws are all Spurs fans. so my brother-in-law, he was I think he was in a pub with all his mates kind of thing, and he was and then I obviously scored, and I think he was almost like, I think he wanted the ground to swallow him up, because everyone was looking at him going, because they obviously knew that he knew me, and he's like, well, what is he doing? Why is he scoring against Spurs? Like, this is unbelievable. So it was a little bit frosty in the in-laws' house over the next couple of weeks, but yeah, it was a good day. It was a real good day. And it was a good team performance. And like I said before, we had some real good players at that time, and we're very lucky to play with.
Yeah. The start of when you started at West Ham United, who was the manager then?
So 2 years we had Pardew there, so he signed me. We also had Peter Grant, who was the assistant, who I'd known from Bournemouth as well. So yeah, good people, good players. Like I said, we had a core of again, similar to Bournemouth in a way. We had a core of some young players. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's similar ages. Everybody wanting to do well, interacting socially and things like that. So yeah, it was a real good group.
With Alan Pardew, then, what was he like as a manager? Because a lot of fans, I'm not going to say players, because every time I listen to Under the Cosh or whatever football podcast and Alan Pardew's name is mentioned, right, there's a lot of positivity that comes with it. It's just the fans. It's not always positive with the fans, which is bizarre. But with you playing under Alan Pardew, what was that like? Was that a great learning experience for you? Or?
Yeah, it was good. It was I think at that time it was a difficult club to manage. Do you know what I mean? Because, like you say, supporters didn't want to be in the league we was in initially. If we weren't winning 2-0 in the Championship after 20 minutes, it was kind of like getting a little bit edgy around the ground and stuff. So it was a really difficult one. I think he managed that really well. Like I said, we had some good players, made some good signings, and he snowballed the games. Do you know what I mean? Never got too what's the word? Never got too concerned maybe about defeats. Would always believe in the squad and the team that they would come through and do well. I think he felt he knew he had the players. I think in an ideal world, it would have been automatic promotion, but obviously going through the playoffs was a bonus. And I think he felt very confident with that. I think he done really well the next year when we went up into the Premier League, because I think it was around the era where a lot of teams that got promoted were very happy to come in and just be very defensive. Do you know what I mean? It was like, that was like the stopgap. We go, oh, we'll go and put everyone behind the ball and we'll still end up losing 3 or 4-0. But I remember we're going into that season, he was very positive, we're going to go on the front foot. This is how we're going to play. We're going to go and win games. We don't want to sit back. You know, we kind of, we took away, I think, the big 4 or 5 or 6 teams at the time and kind of said, well, look, this is our league table. You know, everyone else below, we want to be top of that. And it just added a real belief to the whole squad that always you get there a little bit from playoff success and going through that, because it brings everyone together and you're full of confidence. But add that on top, made some good signings in the summer that time. I think we signed Josai Benayoun, Paul Chesky, Roy Carroll. Added some Dean Ashton, I think, as well, we got at the time. So added to the squad, and we just had a good group, and he was very positive with that, and he went with the confidence and was very on the front foot with everything we'd done, which I thought was great, because it would have been very easy to kind of go, oh, we might be a little bit out of our depth here or blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? But he went, no, we're going to go and attack and we're going to go and win games. We don't want to sit here and try and get a draw. So, yeah, he was very positive, very good, and obviously always grateful for him for taking me there.
West Ham have always got a great, I always say great, never say decent, great support, especially well-known West Ham supporters as well. You know, you got Danny Dyer and Russell Brand, and I'll say Cass Pennon as well, because he's well known as a West Ham fan, especially of his books and everything. Did you, during your time at West Ham, did you ever meet any of those guys during your time at West Ham?
Yeah, there was a few floating around at the time. I think there was because obviously you have functions and everything with certain things, sponsors and stuff. So there was a few people. I think when we played Man City away, I think it was quarter-final maybe of the FA Cup. I think Ray Winston came in the changing room after. I think to it was either before or after. I can't remember if to congratulate us or to wish us good luck. I can't remember, but yeah. So it was, so but you knew of them about. You didn't see them all the time, but there were people there. There were people with, like you say, with good affiliations with the club, with it being in London, and they're very passionate, the supporters. Do you know what I mean? Whether they're big superstars or just the guy down the road, and it's inbred in the people and the families in that area, and you really have to buy into that to kind of be part of that at West Ham. And I think when we were there at the time, we had a lot of people that done that, which was great, and obviously showed with the success on the pitch and that. So yeah, it was a real good time. Like I said, it was a real eye opener from me going from Bournemouth to London and everything that comes with London. And it was a really, really good time. And I've still got really, really good friends that I see today from the time at West Ham that we're really close with.
Going on to the FA Cup final then, so the 2006 FA Cup final, 2005 to 2006 tournament, playing against Liverpool, Millennium Stadium. I remember being in Cardiff then, and I was wondering what the hell is going on. You literally took Liverpool right to the very end, nearly to right to the end.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did it. I mean, it's a funny one really, because I wasn't playing that much that season. Do you know what I mean? We'd gone into the Premier League, we'd bought some new players, and it was more Hayden Mullins and Nigel Reo-Coker that were playing in midfield. So I wasn't playing loads, so which is a shame. But then we played Liverpool a few weeks before in the league, and Louis Garcia and Hayden Mullins both got sent off, which both meant they missed the cup final. So which was a real shame for Hayden, because he'd had a really good season, done really well. But fortunately, it would give me an opportunity. So I played a few games towards the end of the season, I think, which included the Spurs one, and then obviously played the FA Cup final. So yeah, it was. I mean, I was lucky enough, because it was at the Millennium. I was lucky enough to obviously have played there with Wales and knew what the atmosphere was like and knew about the drive. I think we stayed at the Vale of Glamorgan, where we used to stay with Wales at the time. So there was a lot of similarities for me, which was great. It was perfect. But it was just when we got into the stadium, it was so loud. Like I can't even, like, it was really, really loud. There's only a few games that I played in that have been really loud. I think Wales England was one as well, but it was just so loud. It was deafening. There's literally you could not speak to someone 5 yards away from you. It was really hard to hear. I think that's one of my abiding memories from that. And yeah, the game went really well. I mean, I don't think we played that well, if I'm going to be brutally honest. But we ended up like we were 2-0 up to begin with, like early in the game, and then 2-1, and then Conch threw a token cross stroke shot that he was probably usually goes out of play, but went in the thingy, and we was taking them all down to the wire, and we were 3-2 with even with about 10 minutes to go, we not felt comfortable, because you never feel comfortable when you play against a team of Liverpool's quality, and they'd had a really good year that year. But we didn't feel like we was loads under the cosh. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like there were like there's loads of balls in the box and we're, last ditch tackles and clearing it off the line and things like that. So I'd actually come off about 70 minutes and was on the bench with the other guys, and no one really wanted to say anything, do you know what I mean? But we're like going, and time get going on. They're all on the floor, like every time the ball goes out of play, they're cramping or they're tired, or do you know what I mean? You could just see they were physically kind of out the game. So your belief grows, and then out of nothing really, he smashes a ball in from 35 yards into the corner, and it's just it's devastating, I think is the right word for it, because we were like 30 seconds, not even that, 20 seconds away from winning the FA Cup, which, as you know, is a highlight of every young fan stroke players kind of, especially for my era. I'm obviously a bit older than you, but it was something you grew up with watching year on year out kind of religiously, and then we were that close to winning it, and I think with that the belief kind of went in extra time and with penalties as well, which no one obviously said. You don't say, oh, we're definitely going to lose it now, but I think subconsciously we felt, if we don't get a goal in extra time, and even if that goes to penalties, we're going to struggle, because I think Rayner was the number one penalty saver in that year. I think they'd had a few other a few other penalty shootouts where he'd done really well and won games from. So it was devastating, really. And I don't think, even to this day, I've not even watched the game back. I've seen the goals back and stuff, but I've not watched the game fully. And it was just such a shame. Do you know what I mean? Because you wanted to do it for all the fans. Do you know what I mean? Go down in history at a club to be winning the FA Cup. And it's a great experience to play in the FA Cup, but you want to win it. If you're there, you want to go and win it. And it was just Steven Gerrard is a bastard. Really, I think. That's the only way I can describe it. But he's probably the only player that could have scored from that distance at that time of the game, with everything that was going on. I don't think there was anyone else, definitely not on the Liverpool team. Anyone else in the other teams, I don't think could have done that either. Do you know what I mean? Really, deep down, I think he even mentioned, I think he said before, the only reason he shot was because he was that tired, he couldn't take a touch and, do you know what I mean, do something else with it. So he just decided to hit it.
Gamble.
So real shame, real shame. So
You know what? The thing about the FA Cup in West Ham is that it's always been. I'm not saying it's always been West Ham's FA Cup, but when you think of the FA Cup at West Ham, you do think of like Bobby Moore, and you think of some Jeff Hurst, and you think of some of the best players ever, and you want to really be on the level. You want to be standing in the legacy with those kind of players who've won the FA Cup. So if you won the FA Cup there, you go, well, the squad who won it back then, we're on their level now. We're up there. So and for West Ham fans, I mean, I've always said, if I was ever a player, and this is not me bullshitting or anything like that, because we always had fun topics to talk about. I mean, apart from Barry Town, myself, my family are all Everton. So you're all Everton, yes. Especially my dad. But I've always said, if I was ever a player, the only time I ever want to win the FA Cup would be at obviously Everton, because they won it in '95 and I was born a year after. So if I was ever a player, I want to win it then, or at West Ham, because the history they've got of winning the FA Cup and everything, it seems so sweet, and so it'll be memorable, and you'll be on the level of standing next in line of the legacies of Bobby Moore and Jeff Hurst and everyone. So it's that nice feeling to have. Would it be nice to have the club? But I've always said those two clubs, if you win it for them, then
Well, yeah, this is it, and I think that, like you say, it's very similar. The clubs, and they treat their people, the ex players that achieve stuff really well, and ultimately, as a player, you want to win stuff. Do you know what I mean? You want to win stuff, and then because that's the main things you remember at the end of your career. Do you know what I mean? Is your medals, the things you achieved. So, yeah, it would have been perfect. Do you know what I mean? It would have been perfect, but some things aren't just meant to be. And I think it was around the time as well where it was like the big clubs were kind of dominating a lot of things, and obviously West Ham would have been seen as an underdog, and you probably had every fan apart from Liverpool fans kind of backing West Ham at the time, and it just would have been, it would have been perfect. I almost felt like we deserved it, but sometimes sometimes football just has a funny way of shaking it up when you least expect it.
All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of Wales then. So 2004 to 2009, so many notes, so many questions, because the one thing I want to know is, how did you get the eligibility of going for Wales? Was that your mum? Was that your dad? Was it your grandparents? How did you pull it? Oh,
so that come through my nan, who was from Gwent. So we spent a lot of time in Wales when I was younger. Do you know what I mean? Going visiting my nan, visiting family and stuff. So and got the call up, I think it was 2004 when I was at Bournemouth at the time in League One. And Mark Hughes was the manager. So yeah, absolute no-brainer. As soon as I got the call, didn't expect it. Didn't, do you know what I mean? Didn't kind of, I was kind of just fully focused on Bournemouth at the time, really, I think. So got the call up and it was like, yeah, definitely straight away, I'm coming up. I think it was a Sunday. I got the call, literally packed my bags and then drove from Bournemouth to Cardiff like that night, ready for training the next day. So just nervous again, another thing out your comfort zone, but yeah, just pleased to do it. And then to kind of, I think I went from Sunday evening at home into Wales the next day, training the next day with the likes of, do you know what I mean, Gabs and Savage and Bellamy and Giggs and stuff like that. And it was just absolute whirlwind, really, but the best feeling ever. Yeah.
What about was Gary Speed there during when
he was? Yeah, he was. Yeah. So obviously a more elder statesman of the group at the time, and just had a few camps with him, and he just. I don't think I can say anything that's not already been said, but just to reiterate, what a great person. Do you know what I mean? Both as a player and just as a human being as well. Just treated everyone equally. Do you know what I mean? Without giving out loads of bullshit. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, he was very honest, very, very, what's the word? He's just a proper man.
Yeah.
Just a proper man. Do you know what I mean? And everyone liked him. Great player, versatile, just a good person to be around. And I think he was a huge part of the success of the team as on the pitch, and Wales as a what would you call it? Like an FA kind of, as a what's the word I'm looking for? Wales as a association.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Kind of are reaping the rewards of what he kind of give to the football side and to the management side. And I just, I can't speak highly enough of him. And I think, everyone's the same, whoever's kind of come in contact with him.
Well, it speaks highly volume of what he's done for Wales, especially when going back. I mean, this recording won't be until maybe we're in September times. We won't be in, maybe in October it will. But going on to the Wales and Estonia game, it was on his birthday. It would have been his 52nd birthday. In the 52nd minute, everyone just stood up and clapped with Gary Speed's picture on it. And that just speaks. And I choked up because don't get me wrong, he was one of my favourite Welsh players to ever put on the shirt, to put on the captain armband. And, it was that special moment of, that's how much he means to Wales, because we will always remember him no matter what. And like a certain Mr. Ryan Giggs, because a lot of people now have gone back to the well, in my area, I don't know about you because you've played alongside him, and this is the question I was going to ask you: is a lot of Wales fans are sometimes bitter about Ryan Giggs because of the lack of, they say the lack of games. Even though I look at his caps and I think, well, that's pretty lot of caps with 60 or 70 odd caps. That's pretty impressive to me. But
yeah,
could be less. I don't know, but it was a lot anyway. It's like a lot of fans now have gone back to the bitterness because of what he's done and everything. But a lot of people were saying, "Oh, is he really that passionate for Wales?" But for you, because you were around him and you played with him and everything, what was that like to be playing with him? What was it like as just a person then? And also, could be wrong, but just throw it out there. Probably a silly question, but did some players have that, same reception as what some of the fans have, where they just go, I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah, no. I see what you're saying. I think first and foremost, I think like as a person, as a player, like great guy. I think again, like when I said, 1 minute I'm playing for Bournemouth, then I'm playing with these guys, and you don't realise how what's the word? You didn't realise how famous they were. Not really, to be honest. Like I think we used to go away to travel away, and we'd all walk out of the airport, and there'd be like 100 photographers, none of them taking photos of us or looking at us, and they'd just wait for Ryan Giggs to come out. Do you know what I mean? But he was a real down-to-earth guy. Do you know what I mean? He used to join in bits that we used to do, because obviously spend a long time in the hotel, and you try and do certain bits to kind of keep you occupied, table tennis, cricket and stuff, and he would join in. But it was kind of quite secluded for him, because it wasn't easy for him to kind of just go out and just walk down Cardiff or go out to here or to there kind of thing, because at the time Manchester United were as big as they could ever be, kind of thing. So yeah, really nice guy. I've met him a few times as well since on my coaching courses. Do you know what I mean? Always have a good chat. But yeah, really, really good guy. Do you know what I mean? Really like him. Very down to earth. I think the thing about like where you're saying that maybe he's getting the job. I think Mark Hughes' first job was the Welsh job as well. Would that be right?
No, one thing I was saying is his dedication to Wales, because a lot of fans have been critical of his, every time. I don't know if it was the power of influence from Sir Alex that made him stop to go to games, and which a lot of fans question his commitment as not just a Welsh player, but as a Welshman as well, I think.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to come as, because I was optimistic with Ryan Giggs when he came in as manager, because it was not just him, because it's like you said, I'm getting used to calling Mark Hughes Sparky now. I don't even know the guy. Because a lot of players I've interviewed, they say Sparky, and I'm saying Sparky now. Because Mark Hughes is one of them. Mike England. There was a Mike Smith, and there was Jimmy Murphy, all of which have done success, especially Jimmy Murphy, he was a gifted coach with Manchester United and everything, and during the time he had to take over during the Munich air disaster. But at the same time, he was taking Wales to the World Cup in the quarterfinals, and that was his first managerial. Well, he was a couple of years of experience behind Wales managerial, but he took him there. So I wasn't really, questioning whether the Wales job was going to be the right call for him, the right position for him. But it's like anything else. A lot of people would always question his dedication as he was as a player, because there was a lot of times where there may be friendlies, or a handful of friendlies, or maybe some qualifying matches where he just didn't turn up. So I was only asking, like, did the players felt like that? But then you just said that, oh no, it's just Ryan.
No, I never got that sense at all, mate. I think he was always for, when he was there, he, for whatever the reasons, if there were games that he wasn't there, then, I don't know what it is, but it was, I think when he was there, he was fully committed. Do you know what I mean? He always wanted Wales to do well. He always wanted the players around him to try and, do well as a group, do well as a team, you know what I mean? So yeah, I never got that sense at all that he was kind of didn't want to be there or anything like that. He was fully invested. And you see that in some of his performances. And I think, probably at the time, a lot of the time when he was coming through, the Welsh squad probably, it wasn't as as good, didn't have the quality that it does now. Do you know what I mean? So, it would have been, I'm sure, look, I don't know for sure, but I'm only going from my opinion. I'm sure it would have been tough for him to kind of make that change from Man United and Wales and stuff. But I never ever got a sense of that he didn't want to be there or thinking. He was always fully invested, always wanted to do well and always wanted to win. So, and like I said, it was just a very honest, down to earth, humble guy that wanted to do well. So, I never got that sense at all, mate, to be honest. Never.
Fair enough. One person, John Toshack, coming in as manager, and Big Tosh. Right, here we go. Let's go. Come on, Carl. Let's see. Let's see some things.
No, I think, it was. I don't want to say a difficult period, because I've got a lot of respect for John Toshack and what he's done in the game. Do you know what I mean? To go and win titles in Spain and things like that in the playing career. And obviously it's a different era, of course it is, but you still have to respect that. I think the biggest thing was there was such a change from, I didn't have loads of camps with Mark Hughes, but there was such a change from that to then when John Toshack come in, that it was chalk and cheese kind of thing. And I'm sure other players have spoke about it before. You know, we went from Mark Hughes and all his coaching staff really wanting to be at the forefront of trying to do everything that a lot of the players were getting at their clubs anyway. Do you know what I mean? With dinner times, they could get whatever they want, and videos and blah, 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 all kind of, on point in terms of warm-ups and who's taking the warm-ups and the training and the preparation and stuff like that. And then it just kind of changed a little bit. But not to say that that's wrong, do you know what I mean? Because it was just different. And it was at times difficult to take, because if you're getting a certain way that you're used to with Wales and a certain way you're used to with your club, and then to change it all about, which maybe could be perceived as being a little bit old school, then it's going to be a little bit difficult for some people to take, kind of thing. So, it was different. It was definitely different. But we still had some good times. You know what I mean? We had a lot of good camps, made some good friends. We had a good group. Do you know what I mean? Ginge, Gabs, Ernie, Joe Ledley, Cole Robinson. Do you know what I mean? We made some good friends there. Simon Davis, who was my roomie. It was I don't know how else you want me to put this, other than it was different. What do you want me to say? But I think as well, at the time there was players that were looking to retire as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think there was a cycle, and where, just missing out on qualification was kind of like, the natural cycle, maybe some players leaving, and it was a transitional period at that time. But as a person, I thought John was a great guy. Do you know what I mean? Loads of stories, funny guy. Do you know what I mean? So one of the things that, sorry to cut you off there, I was listening to the Joneses podcast, Longman's podcast, and he had Jermaine Easter on the podcast, on the show, and I don't know if you were there, but he was announcing, Toshack was announcing the squad lineup or something for the game. And he kept getting Jermaine's name wrong or something like that. Calling him Jerome or something. Was you there when that happened? I think I might have been, to be fair. Names, any kind of particulars was not John's strong point. So anything factual, like actual people's names and stuff like that. So I think because it was me and Cole Robinson were playing quite a bit in the midfield, and he used to just call us the two Coles. Oh, blah, blah, we'll do this, blah, blah, you play there, and the two Carls in midfield. But I think he didn't really know the difference between Carl Fletcher and Carl Robinson either. So he probably just says the two Carls to get it out of the way. But he was, stepping back a few years, I would say, like I said. But again, not to say that was wrong or was anything, but he was dedicated to the role. And that, whatever situation you're in, there's always positive to get out of it. And I think the good thing was, in that period, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the start of, almost the golden generation. Do you know what I mean? Your Ramseys, your Bales, Gunter, do you know what I mean? James Collins coming through longer. I mean, who else would be in there? Vokes and Hennessy and
Hobson Kanu.
Hal Robson Carter. Do you know what I mean? These younger players were suddenly kind of coming through. So, do you know what I mean? It was which I remember we were playing a lot of games with a lot of them younger ones playing as well. And almost at times, you know, maybe results or performances could have been better, but it was standing in good stead for not then, but for the future. So, like you say, you look at them all now. I mean, Gunts has got what, 4,000 caps now. He must be what, 78 or something like that. But do you know what I mean? But they was all playing, and they were playing regularly in these games, and the experiences they got from them stood them. You know, you could arguably say stood them in good stead for when they got to the semi-finals in the Euros.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. Did you knew that the likes of Bale and Ramsey had that potential to reach?
Yeah, it's basically retired me. Rhys, do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like I was going to camps, and it's like you got Ramsey in midfield, Joe Allen, Dave Edwards, David, all young, and I was getting older, and I was due to have twins as well, so I had 3 kids under 2, and it was just, and I wasn't. They were better than me. Do you know what I mean? They were better than me. So I thought, do you know what? I'll just call it a day when I did. Enjoyed my time, but I knew all these players were coming through, and they were good players, really good players, and they was, like I said, they were still so young, and they were playing, and they were getting that experience, and it was great to see, really good to see.
Two last questions on Wales then. One of them being as another individual who's a bit of a character as well. Just make sure you don't find him in Cardiff City's Chippy Lane with a golf club or something like that, and that's Craig Bellamy. Any stories? Any good stories about Craig Bellamy? I'll tell you.
Every day is a good story with Craig Bellamy.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny one, right? So I still do every now and then, but when I was a little bit younger, I always collected autographs, as some youngsters do. But when Bellamy first came to Cardiff, he arrived very early. I don't know what for, maybe a contract or whatever. And there was only 3 or 4 of us there. And he came down. So one guy, being cocky, he's like, "Oh, I'll go to." He went, "Oh, Bellamy, sign this." And he went, "Fuck off." And he literally just gave him a mouthful, right? And now bear in mind, I'm only a kid at that time, a little bit younger. And I just went, "Oh, shouldn't I?" So I started like doing like that creepy toe up to someone as you're scared. And I said, excuse me, Craig, could you sign this?" And he went, "Not a problem, mate." And he just signed my T-shirt. And I just went, "Okay then." And he went, "Here you go, mate. Thank you very much." And I just turned to the other guys who I'm with. I went, "What's all that about?" And funny enough, one of the security guards looked at me and went, "Manners don't cost much." Shouted out to all of them, saying, "Manners don't cost much." And I went, right. And it was me like shaking with the T-shirt because I just seen Bellamy shouting at this one guy, and then next you know, he's being nice to me. So
No, he's a character. Look, Craig. Do you know what I mean? But I think the biggest things I found when I was there in the squads with him, he's sets himself and other people high demands. He's a better footballer than I first thought he was. He's a lot better than I first thought he was. Actually playing with him, and he loves football. His knowledge of football is like ridiculous. He's got this thing where he just takes in all football, like anything like World Cups or anything like that. He'll know them. Do you know what I mean? And he loves the game. Do you know what I mean? And you probably see that now, where I think he's coaching in Anderlecht, isn't he? With the 23s over there. So he loved football. And yes, look, he made high demands. And yes, when the high demands he felt weren't met, he may have, you know what I mean, expressed his views maybe too harshly at times. Do you know what I mean? But I think the biggest thing you learn as you get older, do you know what I mean? There's always different reasonings behind certain things. And ultimately, when you're playing together, you don't have to like everyone. Do you know what I mean? But you play with them and you're professional. You know what I mean? I had loads of people that I played with that I don't like. Or I have loads of people that play with me that definitely don't like me. I know that much. But yeah, you appreciate them for what they are. And I think Craig had, you know, for everyone that played with him, had the appreciation of what he could bring to the team. Do you know what I mean? Because we all wanted to win, and we knew that we had a better chance of winning with Craig in the team.
Last one is you managed to captain for Wales against Iceland, but then injury sort of got gotten away with it.
Yeah. I don't remember the date. I don't know if you've got the date there, but was it in Was it in like May, something like that?
I haven't got the date. I put down there, it was against Iceland.
Yeah.
Captain for Wales, and it was like 40 odd minutes. It was,
yeah. So we played Iceland away, which was a lovely place to go. Captain the side, like just what an honour. Just something I'd never even thought I could achieve. Do you know what I mean? When I was younger. So yeah, hugely honoured. Played the game. Game was going all okay, and then I rolled my ankle. I can't remember how I got tackled or something, and then just tore my ankle ligament. So had to get stretchered off, which was really, really devastating. It's a real shame because I wanted to go and captain the side. I wanted to win the game and kind of go from there. I think I was sat in the hotel as well, and I think at that time Iceland had an earthquake as well. While I was sat in the hotel room, so the whole hotel room was shaking, and I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? And it was only like a little bit after you realise they had an earthquake. So not the best trip in the world, but something I'm just so honoured about. And the fact that I got a goal for Wales as well. I mean, I should have scored a few more, to be honest. I had some chances, like through the games that I played, but I only got one goal. I think it was at Wrexham, against Norway. So I'm pleased to get that as well. So just achievements that I've been really lucky enough to tick off, and there's always a bit of me that I wanted more. I wanted more caps. I wanted more to captain it more. I wanted to score more goals. But to kind of do what I've done, I've been so lucky. Do you know what I mean? And there's people that give their right arm for that, and I'm just so really thankful for that. I was able to meet the people I've met, and get them kind of games under the belt. And I'm just so happy for it, really, to be honest.
A couple of last questions then before concluding the podcast. I want to say thanks again, Carl, for coming on and just talking about your career and everything. Really do appreciate you finding the time. So one of them is going to be at Crystal Palace. So there's two names, obviously, is like Peter Taylor, but then there's Neil Warnock. So let's get down to it. Neil Warnock. So playing first team football under Peter Taylor regularly, but then when Neil Warnock came in, obviously things change. Any new manager comes in, things are going to change. So what was it like for you though when Neil Warnock came in?
It was a difficult period, I think, because I'd originally Peter Taylor come in and bought me from West Ham. So after the cup final, I only had a year left on my contract, and like I said to you earlier, I wasn't playing a lot like that season. I got the games at the end because Hayden got injured. I'd on the bench a few times. Where you're being a central midfielder, you're not always going to be used on the bench like sometimes. So there was a lot of that season that I wasn't playing, and that was tough. That was getting me down. Palace come in for the, they put a bid in, spoke to a few people, said about Peter Taylor, said, go. Do you know what I mean? If you want to go, then go. Pardew was really good. He said, look, we've had a bid. We've accepted the bid. He said, if you want to go, great. If you want to stay here and fight for your place. And so he said, great as well. So he was really, do you know what I mean? Very, very easy with me. It wasn't like, look, get out the door kind of thing. He was I think he understood that where I'd been used to playing for, like you said, 200 plus things week in, week out with Bournemouth, and then to go to West Ham and not get as much game time as I was used to. That was, he knew that I wanted to play, basically. He knew that I wanted to play. So, I made that decision. In hindsight, probably, made the wrong decision. Definitely made the wrong decision. I should have stayed at West Ham for the last year of my contract. I should have done that. But hindsight's a wonderful thing, and you don't really realise that till it's too late anyway, kind of thing. So, made a decision, went. Peter Taylor, he was fine, started off really well. I think there was a difficult period in the club because they'd just been relegated from the Premier League, and they're looking to go back up. And then there were new players coming in, myself, James Scowcroft, Sheffield Kuki, Mark Kennedy, a few others, and there were ones that were been there that I think the club were trying to get rid of, but couldn't. So there was kind of no issues between the two players or anything, but it's just a little bit of a mess. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of a transitional phase. So Peter Taylor, lovely guy and stuff. really nice. I think it just didn't click with him and the players and stuff. Just didn't work. So he obviously left, and Neil Warnock coming, which was again different. Not something I was used to in terms of playing under that kind of manager, because I'd never had done that before, but appreciated it. No, didn't enjoy. That's the wrong word. When I say didn't enjoy, probably didn't enjoy the way that the game was played, but appreciated it for how he managed it and how he got the best out of players. So it was quite a good learning experience for me, even though I wasn't playing. I was on the bench a lot, and I think I started to get a little bit older, and you get a little bit less cynical, and you get a little bit just more kind of probably appreciation for certain things, and understood what he was doing and could see it for what he was doing, rather than just being a petty young footballer going, well, why am I playing? And do you know what I mean? Classic footballer where you just sulk and things like that. But yeah, I was a little bit older, so I appreciated it. And like I said, you take a lot of what he does, and how he gets the best out of, you know, players that maybe were playing at a lower level than what he wants, and he gets the best out of them. So yeah, really appreciate that. He's a great character. Do you know what I mean? Great guy, cleverer than I think what a lot of people think, very clued up, more than what a lot of people think, just with everything around the club. And yeah, so I was there 3 years. You know, we had some great Christmas do's and birthdays, thanks to the chairman, Mr. Simon Jordan. So they were highlights. You know, we used to go into London, and used to put a whole thing on for the club and have famous comedians and blah 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 and all this kind of stuff. And it was brilliant. I met some good people there. But yeah, again, hindsight, shouldn't have moved there. Shouldn't have left West Ham when I did. I should have just seen out my last year of my contract, and kind of see where it gone from there. But yeah, again, appreciative for the experience at Palace, and then went from Palace to Plymouth permanently. But yeah, he was good. He was good, Warnock. He was, like I said, crackers, but very clever with it. Is he quite fondly revered in Cardiff? He must be, mustn't he?
Oh,
his time at Cardiff.
He's well loved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, from what I gathered, anyway, a lot of Cardiff City fans loved him. They didn't want him to go. They really didn't want him to go. I think some look at it as a bit unfair that he left the way he left Cardiff, because this man who got him out of relegation in his first, let's say, season, because he only came in halfway, but then in his second season got him promoted to the Premier League, and obviously the Premier League season, and then it came back down, and then he tried to, but then they were floating around in the mid-table. But I felt that they should have given him a little bit more time with his last season with Cardiff. But Middlesbrough, I hope he does well with Middlesbrough, because I think he's getting to a point now where a lot of people, because he's in his early 70s, for crying out loud, a lot of people are thinking, is he ever going to retire? Is he ever going to stop? Because a lot of people are celebrating him now as a lot of people are celebrating him now as a cult figure in football, because of his attitude to the game, and obviously that Sheffield United documentary on Sky Sports and other things, and people are just loving him, because I think he's one of the last, I want to say breeds, but one of the last old-fashioned managers to keep in the game. So. Yeah,
I think what he does really well, I think he goes into clubs and he gives a club an identity. So if a club that they're struggling for, like, well, what we do and how we play and what, you know what I mean, kind of mix and match, he goes in and gives them that identity. This is what we're doing. It's the Neil Warnock identity. We're going to do it and we'll get results of it. And he's done that, like I said, he's done that at all the clubs. He's done that at Palace. We was kind of in between, do you know what I mean? But he said, no, this is what we're doing, and we'll be successful, and we'll score goals, and we'll run hard, and everything that your fans want, really. And he epitomises that. So it's interesting to see that, you know, you could argue that Mick McCarthy maybe on a similar vein, but, you know, Cardiff having, you know, a bit of success under Mick McCarthy, and be definitely a force to be reckoned with in the Championship this season on the back of that kind of thing. So yeah, I think what he does really well. But he's very charismatic and a great character, and yeah, just, but again, someone I'm really lucky to have been able to have someone manage me and play under.
Last question, and for the podcast, and it's a bit of a tradition, is how do you look back on your career?
Jeez. Yeah, but I feel very lucky. I feel very lucky. I think looking back now, I should have played longer because I think I retired at about 32. After I made the decision at Plymouth when I went from player to player manager to manager, I just went, I'll just stop playing, which I shouldn't have done really, because I think I was fairly fit. I mean, I wasn't getting any quicker, I'll tell you that much, and I was getting less hair, but I could have done a few more years, I think, definitely on the back of that. But yeah, just really honoured, like really lucky to meet the people I've met, work with the people I've worked with, travel around, Europe and parts of the world on the back of football, and just had so many experiences with so many different types of people. I've been really lucky, really, really, really lucky. And I think it's like I said, when I said to you before about the move from Bournemouth to West Ham, and it was like, look, I had to get out of the bubble of Bournemouth. It's the best thing. It's the best thing that happened to me, because it just gives you, football's such an important part and such a big part of your life. You want it to, it's not the be all and end all. There is your life. You have to have some perspective. So there is like the life after football, but the experiences you get through football can set you up for, or help you with your life after. And I'm very thankful for that. Definitely would have liked an FA Cup winners medal. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
and would have liked to have won more. And like I said, but I'm very appreciative for where I've got to and what I've done.
This podcast is sponsored by DRC Group Limited. DRC Group Limited is an official waste management company based in Cardiff. If you have any waste that needs to go and can't find the appropriate business to do it, look no further than the DRC Group boys. They will provide you with the best service and positive attitude when it comes to solving your waste issues, and these guys are available throughout the week. If you want to get in contact with them, you can look them up on all their social media platforms on Twitter, Facebook, or even Instagram, or even phone them on their number at 07837 256 124. Again, if you want to contact them on all their social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, or social media, or even their phone number is 07837 256 124. If you're looking for the best quality service and the right people to get rid of your waste, then again, DRC Group Limited is the business for you.